Hi, I'm Robert Alice. I'm an artist, curator, and writer working in the crypto art and NFT space. I got involved in NFTs in 2017, right at the start of kind of Ethereum. I've been involved and been working in the art world for some time and kind of fell down the rabbit hole into crypto and NFTs and decided to commit my creative practice to exploring kind of the history and cultures of blockchain. So before I was working specifically in NFTs, I was working as an artist and also making kind of ends meet, working in galleries, museums, auction houses, kind of across the art world. To kind of fund a studio practice, and it wasn't really until I got involved in crypto that I had the autonomy to really dedicate and take out a full-time studio and spend a number of years working completely on a studio practice. I think I've found a community of people that I really admire and a space where people, I'm lucky enough that people starting to respect my work, which feels great. I think it's nice to be able to travel around the world and meet like-minded people, and be part of something that really feels like it's at the forefront of culture and kind of cultural conversation. I'm a big traveler. I grew up in a family that traveled a huge amount. And the nice thing about NFTs is that although I have a physical practice as well, you can really move around and travel and not have to be physically rooted with a kind of physical studio practice. So it definitely allows you to move around and be much more flexible with your time and where you are. Yeah, I think absolutely. I mean, it's kind of what it's been designed to do. For so long, digital art was really the outsider in the contemporary art market, and now you're seeing this kind of great reappraisal of the importance and kind of asset value of digital art. And a lot of people think that obviously it's kind of highly speculative, and there's a side to that, but also there's this understanding that actually for the first time in maybe 50 years of digital art history, digital art is kind of has been able to operate in the same kind of marketplaces as traditional art too. I think you can segment that into two different kind of answers. The first is actually I was really influenced by a number of kind of early books that were written on the blockchain. The first was Ruth Catlow's and Furtherfield's Artists Rethinking the Blockchain, which is one of the first kind of major art historical and kind of critical studies of art on the blockchain. In fact, kind of almost before NFTs were even a concept. And then the early bodies of work that I made were very kind of physical and digital. So I was kind of influenced by works made by people like Simon Denny and a number of shows that he curated, the Shingle Pavilion and elsewhere. So yeah, and then I think if you want to discuss projects that I think are really influential, that have kind of inspired me. Further down the line, I think there's a number of kind of really leading projects, whether it's the Botto project, which I really like, or actually the work of Robness, I think is a really critical person in the crypto art scene. And then also the on-chain work of Ria Myers and Terraforms are just a few projects that kind of are interesting to me. It's a good question. I think some of my work definitely has many, many layers to it. And I think, especially with the on-chain side of things, with NFTs and also with using kind of early kind of strategies on Bitcoin, there are definitely some Easter eggs to be found. Yeah, so I've done a number of exhibitions around the world in Beijing and Singapore and Hong Kong and New York, on Sealand, which you saw in the presentation, which is a micronation deep in the North Sea. And then also I've curated kind of shows in New York and Hong Kong and London, and also at the Venice Biennale. So I've kind of, either it's the work that I make or shows that I've curated, which are kind of important touchstones for me, at least in terms of my journey in crypto art and NFTs. So yeah, I can't say too much. It's still very confidential, but one of the major things, as I said, look, one of the things that really inspired me in 2017 was the publication Furtherfield's Artists Rethinking the Blockchain. And since then, there kind of hasn't been a major text written on NFTs, and we've now had 5 or 6 years, and without doubt, this first kind of big boom, which has kind of receded now, and it kind of presents a very good kind of end mark on the first chapter of NFT art history. And so over the course of the last year, my team at my studio and myself have been kind of writing and editing what we hope will be one of the kind of major art histories on NFTs, it's to be published by a very influential publisher, and due out in kind of spring of next year. So I kind of look forward to sharing more details on it soon. I think it does and it doesn't. I think it changes it from the perspective of you can now, anywhere in the world make art and be found and have methods that you can sell work and meet collectors directly, which I think is very powerful. You don't need space in a studio practice, and all you need is a kind of computer and some basic programming skills, or even just to use a number of digital softwares. So the barrier to entry for art making, especially at a professional level, has gone down. That being said, to kind of work at the highest levels of the NFT space and kind of make a career of it, you have to be kind of technically very, very strong with the tools that you use. And without a doubt, some of the most sophisticated technical practices are in the digital art space. So I think that's kind of one thing that has changed. I think also the collecting side of it, NFTs have brought a lot of liquidity, a lot of attention to digital art. They have created something that is really very much a financial asset. And I think this concept of digital art and NFTs has kind of been lumped into one, whereas digital art is one thing and the fact that it's an NFT is another. It's just simply the asset or certificate of authenticity to the digital art. And in some ways, we talk of NFTs now instead of digital art, where it should be just talking of digital art and just understanding that NFTs are the things that secure it. When we talk of painting, we do not talk of we don't prize the certificate of authenticity that goes with it. So there have been kind of downsides to that process for sure, whether it's the financialization of art, the speculation of it, and the liquidity of it, I think has bred to some extent a kind of artistic short-termism over the last 2 to 3 years. So it's a double-edged sword in many ways. The only thing I'd say is, well, thank you for having me. It's lovely to go to new places and meet new people who are excited about this space. To present your work is always an honor and a privilege. And I really like what you guys are doing here. Letting artists take the kind of the stage and present their work, and really kind of leading from an art perspective. I think is a really critical way of kind of phrasing NFTs to the public.